What it do, YouTube?
What's up?
It's your
What's
boys,
up?
Nugget and Cootie here, and you know what it is. Across the Rams, Week 4. What do we got going this week, man?
Well, I'm fucking pissed. I know you are. We're upset about that game. We are 2-1, which is a good sign, but it's upsetting the way it went down. How you feeling?
Yeah, man. Just took all the wind out of your sails, man. It was just one of the more disappointing losses, man. Especially after we came back from down so much. Just for it to end that way, man, it was a depressing one, bro. I was on suicide watch, dog, but you know,
hey, man. Well,
we're gonna bounce back. And there were some good aspects about the game that we could talk about. So
why don't we get into it?
Yeah, let's
do it. Let's go for a Week 3 recap. Bam. I'm upset. I mean, I had the Drake song playing through my head the whole time when I was saying that. I mean, I couldn't help it right there. I'm mad. Like, and all jokes aside, it was a roller coaster, a mental, emotional roller coaster the whole game. I was on Twitter the whole time, and people were upset about the missed tackles in the beginning. Then we started to see a little bit of a comeback. Tell me how you felt about the game. What was it like as a fan just watching the game?
Yeah, no, just watching the game at first, I was like, obviously, I was sad because we started off down so much.
I mean,
that
21-3 going into the half.
And not only that, we came off the traveling schedule that we just came off of. We got in really early in the morning. I thought we were gonna be tired, so we came off down 21-3. I was just demoralized in the beginning because we didn't come out with any energy, and we're down 21-3 in a game that's supposed to be close. So at first I was demoralized, but of course we saw the poise and the energy all just come back in the second half, and I think that's something that we could really build off of with our team. It's something that I was really impressed with, and I think the NFL could put it on notice too, that we're a team that can fight back and claw back even when down a lot. So I thought that was a great aspect.
It doesn't matter the score, how many points the Rams are gonna be down by. They came back, and that's nice to see in this team that over the last couple of years we're used to being this high-powered offense, and it was nice to see that they could snap back like that very quickly. Very important for us to really have in our arsenal. But one thing I really want to talk about before we get anything is what I said was a key to a victory for us, and that was going to be limiting Josh Allen to under 300 yards. And he had right above 320 yards. I mean, right under 320 yards. I think it was 319 yards total. Sorry, my puppy wanted to come say hi. And the problem with that is if you give a man like that many yards, he's going to find ways to hurt you. And it's just...
Yeah, it was demoralizing, especially in the first half. It seemed like he could get whatever he wanted, especially down the field. Our secondary was kind of shaky in the first half. It was actually not shaky. It was bad. It was bad. I'm going to keep it honest. Our defense was bad in the first half. So, and they were doing a good job of containing our offensive line. Aaron Donald, of course. They're doing a good job, but of course, it's only a matter of time with Aaron Donald and our O-line that will eventually break through and start hitting the quarterback. And you saw that in the second half. You saw us finally starting to get through, and Aaron Donald, of course, he's an unstoppable force. You can only contain him for so long. And then, of course, he started to get off, and you saw him. Unbelievable performance by Aaron Donald, of course. But, our defense was bad in the first half. It got a little better, but then, of course, later in the game, in the last couple minutes, it got bad again. And that's kind of what cost us the game. We can't have those lapses, especially in the secondary, going down the stretch.
Well, I actually wanted to talk a little bit about that final drive. They had multiple 20-plus yard plays on that final drive.
Third and
22, and they got exactly 22 yards after, great plays by the defensive line. But what happened was, they had so many big plays on that final drive. They had an 18-yard catch, a 22-yard catch, a 20-yard catch, and a 17-yard catch, all in while they took up almost the whole 4 minutes and 30 seconds when they first got the ball. We got to get the ball back into our offense, our high-powered offense, faster than that. We can't be letting a team drive down the field like that when the game is on the line. Overall, they had so many big plays. I'm going to read you a list of their over 20-yard plays. 39-yard pass, 21-yard pass, 29-yard pass, 23-yard pass, 22-yard pass, and a 20-yard pass. And don't forget about the 34-yard run. That is 7 plays over 20 yards. We talked about this last week. That was one of the keys of the game. We had to limit that.
You said it.
I wish I didn't say it. It would have worked out. We would have won. But
it was really frustrating too.
Very
because
frustrating.
Another key to the game that I was saying is we need to contain those big plays. They're big play receivers.
Yep.
And you saw with this Cole Beasley with that 3rd and 22-yard reception right there. Just backbreaker. Both of our safeties just watching him run right down the field right in between us, man. That cannot happen, bro. I'm sorry, that cannot happen. We have to be better than that. And I was saying, a key to the game that I was saying was we had to hold Cole Beasley, John Brown, and Diggs to under 150 combined yards. John Brown was kind of hurt throughout the game. He only got targeted twice, and he had no receptions and no yards because he was listed as hurt with a foot injury before the game, so he was obviously limited. But Cole Beasley, man, had 6 receptions for 100 yards with that long one with 29 and that other one with 22. So you saw him getting these big plays, bro.
It hurt.
And they hurt really bad. And not only did they hurt, they pretty much lost us the game on those 3rd and longs.
Exactly. And he had 2 huge catches on that final drive.
And Stephon Diggs had 4 catches for 50 yards. So them
that
2
was
alone
literally right
was
what
150
you said.
yards.
Yeah, and that was the key to us winning. It didn't work out. But one thing I want to talk about, and I haven't decided if I'm happy about this, upset about this. I think I'm kind of in the middle. So I'm not happy they were in this position. But the Bills made it into our 5-yard line on 3 occasions in the game. Yeah. And that's something where you're in the 5-yard and you're usually going to score pretty quickly, right? I know on the last play when and they ended up being the game-winning touchdown, they scored on 1. So if we take the 2 prior possessions when the Bills were within the 5-yard line, it took them 11 plays to score 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's good of bend, don't break defense, which you really need if sometimes the secondary is going to struggle like we saw in the game, in the early beginning of the game, especially when we missed a lot of tackles.
Yeah, we were missing tackles. And not only that, just the loss of Jordan Fuller in the secondary, it was really, like, you could tell, like, it was hurting us. Because we didn't really have that, like, what we were speaking on last week was the connection between the safeties and the corners. And just the loss of Fuller, you could tell that connection was kind of shaky. It wasn't as
strong as it was
as it was in the weeks before. Exactly. So I think before the game, McVay was just saying how Jordan Fuller is expected to play on Sunday.
Yep.
They said that they're limiting him in practice today, but they're expecting to see him in full participation on Sunday. So just that. It should improve our secondary next game, but even in these situations later in the season, there's gonna be injuries to our secondary. Not everybody's gonna be fully healthy. We need Taylor Rapp when he comes in and fills in that role to be successful. To be not only he was doing pretty good in tackling. He was doing pretty good in coverage, but we can't give up those big plays down the stretch.
Not 7 of them in one game.
Exactly.
That's what we can't do.
And that one play that just keeps sticking in my mind is that 3rd and 22. Just because Cole Beasley just ran right down the middle, and you saw John Johnson and Rapp just standing there. We had like 3 different dudes just standing there while he just ran right down the middle of the zone and got it. And that's a careless mistake in my opinion. And JJ, you gotta be better. Our secondary has to be better. And if we clean that up, we win that game.
Exactly.
So
we are running a little bit long on time for this segment. Let's each find one thing positive to talk about the Rams. I kind of want to talk about how there's a couple points in that game where they were down a little bit, but they were still running the ball. Darrell Henderson had over 100 yards. And then they were using the play action, where Goff, we know, is the most successful in the play action. I'm happy to see that they stuck with that because they knew that's what it was going to take. Yeah. And they came back from 25 points down. So I thought that was very positive about
That's
the
a
game.
good positive that I said as well. That was my positive that I took out of it, was just the balance that we continued to have throughout the game. We were poised throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
Back last year, if we were ended up down in a situation like that, instead of continuing to run the ball and stay poised on offense, what we would start to do is we'd abandon the rushing defense entirely, and we just have Jared Goff throw the ball. And that's how last year Jared Goff would have games with, he would force interceptions, and Jared Goff would have games with 50-plus passing attempts, you know? But this week, you could see the balance, and we kept with that balance throughout the game, even when the going got tough. And you can see that we had an almost even split game. We had 32 rushes and 34 passing plays. And that's like the balance that I'm talking about. And if we just continue with that balance, you can see that even when we start down, if we continue with our game plan, we stay poised, that it still chips away at the defense, and it will eventually work, especially with that play action like you're speaking of. If we keep rushing in, we keep that, and we keep establishing the run, then it opens up the play action. That's what we were talking about last week. Let's establish the run, and that's something that they kept doing. So that's a good positive out of the Rams last week.
Well, now let's take a moment to talk about some Rams news coming up for the week.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's jump into that. Let's talk about some Rams news. Not a lot going, not a lot of injuries, which is a great thing.
Yeah, good.
I want to start by talking about Cam Akers. Rib injury, McVay said still kind of day-to-day uncertain for Sunday. I'm saying let the man rest. Obviously, the rushing game did well this past week, so I don't think we need to rush him back. And I know it's not like a knee injury or a hamstring, but taking shots to the ribs when your ribs are hurt is not a fun thing to do. So I think just let's ease him back into the fold because we don't need him right now.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. So we really protect that capital we invested in him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. Let's just ease him back into action. But besides that, the other question mark that the Rams had was our rookie Jordan Fuller, of course. And you never see a 6th-round pick have a impact on an NFL defense. Like,
he just fit in so well and quickly.
Exactly. Like, he's one of the best fits for our team, and he fits in perfectly for our secondary. So he's like somebody we really want to have back sooner than later. So he's listed as day-to-day. He went out with a shoulder injury, and we couldn't really use him last week. But McVay said that he's probably gonna play on Sunday, and he said that there's no real reason to rush him in as well. But of course, we need him because he makes such a big impact on our secondary. But besides that, our team is looking pretty healthy.
And that's a great sign, especially with, a very short preseason, no preseason games. That's important to just maintain that healthiness. Mm-hmm. And so one thing I actually want to talk about is we're debuting the yellow pants.
Yeah.
They're bringing the yellow pants out there with the jerseys. It's just gonna...
Yeah.
I think it's gonna pop and look good. How are you feeling about it?
Honestly, originally, I was really iffy on the jerseys and the logo.
The logo,
just like all Rams fans. Mm-hmm. All of us were like really
what's going on?
Like, what is going on with these jerseys and these logos? But honestly, it's really grown on me. Not only...
Why did it grow on you, though?
I think how it grew on me was because just the colors, they really popped. Like, on the field, the royal blue along with the yellow. Like, originally, I thought we were going to look like the Chargers, but now when I look at it, our jerseys, they look like...
We look fresh.
Yeah,
honestly,
we
look fresh and clean. Yeah.
They pop. And especially when we have fans back, I think people are really going to enjoy seeing them on the field. A big thing that the NFL instated was the color rush jerseys a couple years ago, and I think our color rush jerseys was one of the more popular color rush jerseys in the NFL. Yeah. So I think we really took that into account, and we decided, hey, we want a jersey that's really gonna pop and really gonna stand out on the field. And I think they do.
We found it. Yeah, I'm excited to see how they. Because we're going against the Giants. They have some similar colors. I'm excited to see how it'll go.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to breaking down this Giants matchup. Let's get into that right now.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's go.
So, what's popping next week? We got the Giants. You know that the Giants, they're 0-3. They've been struggling. But we still can't take them for granted. They're still an NFL team, and they're still
These are
talented.
professional athletes.
Yeah.
One thing that stood out to me right away, I don't like to cut you off, but they were only down 7 points in the middle of the third quarter. I know it blew up after that, but one play here, one play difference there, we're talking about a whole different opponent. So I want to make sure, hey, I'm excited for you, Azar, but Vegas has it minus 13.5 for the Rams, which is a good thing. Let's just treat it like another opponent and come in and kick some ass, and let's get a blowout game. Let's do worse than we did to the Eagles. Let's show the 49ers how to beat a Giants team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can't take them for granted, but at the same time, we have to take their previous schedule into account. Mm-hmm. They are worst rushing team in the NFL. They rank 31st in scoring, in yards, and I'm pretty sure they rank number 27th in passing yards per attempt. So they're really not. It's hard to find a worse offensive team in the NFL than the Giants. But at the same time, like I said, we can't take anybody for granted.
Exactly. And speaking of having a bad rushing attack, guess who led the team in rushing yards? The quarterback, Daniel Jones, which is kind of a little bit of a sneaky play. I mean, he had 5 carries for 49 yards, which is, something you expect that from like Lamar Jackson,
Josh
maybe
Allen.
even a Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen. But you just, you're not really thinking about that there. And that's underrated, and we got to keep an eye on that because that extends drives. We saw Josh Allen scrambling to be able to extend plays. So we got to keep an eye on that and control him.
Were you going to break down Daniel Jones?
That's kind of really all I had from him because there's not a lot to break down. Besides his flaws, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, he only had 179 passing yards, which in this day and age, in the NFL, where it's going right now, that's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're down by, they ended up losing by, what was it, almost 30 points, 26 points, something like that. It's just, he didn't do well, and he turns the ball over. He had an interception. There was the pitch to Ingram in the first, I think it was like their second play of the game, where they fumbled. It's just, the way to beat them is to force them to beat themselves by making mistakes.
Yeah, that's good.
I think they had 3 total turnovers, 2 fumbles, and an interception. We gotta force those mistakes to get a win. One of my keys in the matchup is we need at least 2 turnovers in the game, and 3 if we're gonna count turnover on downs, because they did go 1 for 2 on 4th down this past week. So that's going to be very important, us to get 3 turnovers. And, I'd love 0, but if we give up 1 and we win the turnover game by 2, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, no, but what you're speaking on, that Daniel Jones is their best rusher. And like I was saying, they are the worst rushing team in the NFL. And when you just look at their stats from last week, you can see it. With the loss of Saquon Barkley, of course, it hinders their running backs. But besides that, Dion Lewis and their other running back, Wayne Gallman, they both combined for 28 yards on the entire season so far. And, of course, they needed to address that. So what they did, they went and signed Devontae Freeman last week. But even last week in week 3, even he had, I think he had 5 rushes for 10 yards. So you know that they're not going to be doing much on rushing the ball. And their offensive line is one of the worst in the NFL.
Yeah.
They have a rookie left tackle. And just that rookie, Andrew Thomas, according to SIS, he has the most blown blocks of any offensive lineman in the NFL.
Oh,
and
the
you're
Rams
dealing with one of the best. Yeah, you're dealing with one of the best defensive lines, of course, led by the greatest of all time, Aaron Donald. So you know that we're gonna be in the backfield. We're gonna be giving them trouble, and that's something we gotta do early. We gotta send a message. We gotta run right through those boys. And besides that, they also had their Pro Bowl offensive lineman. His name was Nate Solder, and he was the highest paid offensive lineman in the NFL. But of course, he opted out in the beginning of the season.
Yep.
So they're dealing with a lot of offensive line troubles. The running backs are already hurt.
Barkley's gone. That's something we haven't even mentioned because it's been a couple of weeks now. That's where those rushing troubles are coming from.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that.
But even with Barkley, last year they were the worst rushing offense in the NFL with Saquon Barkley.
Yeah,
so
you
know that it goes beyond just the running back. It's their whole offensive scheme has been lacking over the last couple of years. So it's just something we need to take advantage of, especially early in the game. Send a message. Let's get into the backfield and let's hit their quarterback and let's send a message early in the game.
Speaking of quarterbacks, one thing I'm really excited for is Jared Goff. I mean, he's returning home. He is going up as a team that allowed Nick Mullins to put up 343 yards. Who? Nick who? I mean, Garoppolo is hurt, so they're bringing the backup. He's all right. He's decent. I'm just giving him a hard time because he's a Niners player. But 343 yards to a backup quarterback. What do you think Goff is going to do with Higbee, Kupp, Woods? I mean, I'm really excited to see how many yards he can put up. Mm-hmm. Numbers have not come out yet for the player props, but I'm really excited to look into those. And I feel like we're going to be smashing the over a lot. Mm-hmm. That's kind of all I have for this week. What do you have? Anything else?
Just the other thing I had was they're a pretty incompetent team, but the only player with a big upside is their receiver Darius Slayton. He actually in his first years in the NFL, his numbers are actually staggeringly similar to DeAndre Hopkins. Let me read you this guy's stats because he's actually one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL. Over his first 17 games with the Giants, he has 60 catches for 928 yards and 10 touchdowns. And like I said,
over 17 games?
Over 17 games.
Wow.
He actually has his stats are actually starkly similar to DeAndre Hopkins.
And when does he thrive? He thrives when other players are out. Week 1, Golden Tate was out and he had I think over 100 yards, multiple touchdowns, and now Sterling Shepard's on the IR for the Giants. So that's something we definitely need to keep an eye on.
We need to keep an eye on him. But besides that, the Giants are looking pretty rough. They had a lot of draft picks going in this year, but of course you saw what happened with their DeAndre Baker, their first round pick. He was somebody who just got arrested and charged with 4 counts of assault and robbery with a deadly weapon over the summer. So it's hard to find a more dysfunctional team than the Giants. So this is a good week to not ease up. This is a good week to put it on, send a message, and just stomp them out. Let's not keep them close. Let's not keep them in the game. Because, of course, they are an NFL team. We can't ease up on them. Yep. Let's send a message to the rest of the NFL with a blowout this week.
And before we jump on the Cooties Corner, I just want to point out they only had 49 plays for 231 yards.
That's
in the NFL in 2020, that is shitty.
Yeah, that's really bad.
All right, let's go check out Cooties Corner.
This was popping in Cooties Corner this week. This week, we got 2 players popping in Cooties Corner. Of course, we got our sophomore running back, Darrell Henderson, who had an amazing game, man. One thing that I noticed from Darrell Henderson is how quick and decisive he was. He had great vision. He was always seeing those big pockets that we were making for him, and he was blasting right through them. And he was so powerful, man. It's hard to take that man down. He's strong, and he was looking great. He had 20 rushing attempts for 114 yards. He was averaging 5.7 yards per carry. And, of course, he had that big touchdown. He's a great replacement and fill-in for Cam Akers, who went down with that rib injury. So, Darrell Henderson, you were popping in Cooties Corner, man. Great job. But besides that, of course, the other player that's popping in Cooties Corner, he's going to be popping in Cooties Corner frequently this year, is the GOAT, the greatest defensive player of all time, man. Aaron Donald, bro. Oh, my God, he was unreal. Like I was saying, of course, they were containing him pretty well in the first half, but you can only contain Aaron Donald for so long. Eventually, he's going to get off. And, of course, he had those 2 huge sacks down the stretch of the game. He had that 1 sack for a loss of over 20 yards. And, of course, he had that big strip sack where he grabbed Josh Allen. He threw him like a rag doll, like Hulk grabs a little grunt and just threw him against his offensive lineman. He fumbled the ball. He had his hands up looking like, what just hit me, man? Of course, that was Aaron Donald making a huge play, man. Aaron Donald, we appreciate you, man. I know the NFL might be asleep, but you are the greatest defensive player I have ever seen. And of course, Aaron Donald is popping this week in Cooley's Corner. He's probably going to be popping weekly, but that's what's popping in Cooley's Corner this week. And now we're going to go to Nug for our Rams advice of the week.
Alright, what's up? Obviously, I'm in a different background. I'm in Idaho visiting some family. The lines just came out, so I wanted to talk about them. But first, I want to recap last week. My first week going 2 for 2. Called that Cooper Kupp. Over 5 receptions. Easy money. And over 60 yards. I mean, come on. It's Cooper Kupp we're talking about, right? Easy money. Now, I'm going with Robert Woods. The Darrell Henderson line was right around 70. It was a little tough for rushing, but Robert Woods, I feel really good about him. Over 5.5 receptions and over 65.5 yards. I mean, we're going up against a team that allowed 343 yards to the Giants. Not to the Giants, to Nick Mullins, who is a backup quarterback. I feel really confident line, especially as Goff's projecting is right around 260 yards himself. I feel very confident that Robert Woods can get around 70. Wouldn't even be surprised if he breaks 100. All right, so that's all I have for this section for today. Let's finish up the video. So that's all we have. That's pretty much it. I want to recap something I think is very important. And the key to the matchup, which, I mean, I've been on a roll, 3 for 3 for what I think it would take for the Rams to win. 2 of them were wins. 1 of them was a loss, is turnovers. The Giants just turn the ball over a lot. And if we can force turnovers, we can be in a really good spot to win this game. I said we need 2 turnovers and 1 turnover on down, but if 3 total turnovers will make it happen, and I think we get a win there. What do you have?
For me, the key to this win, of course, we're playing against one of the worst offensive in the NFL. So I think the key to us is get off early. Yep. I think we guarantee a win is if we come out and we get a touchdown before they do. So my big key to the game is, hey, let's come out, get off early, let's get some points on the board, let's get a touchdown. If we get a touchdown before them, I am guaranteeing you a victory. So let's come out, let's hit early, let's get all the pressure off of our offense immediately, and let's get a touchdown early in the game.
I like it. We have a really good chance of starting 3-1 in this season. We gotta bust our ass. We can't just jump past the Giants. They're still NFL athletes. But that's all I have. Let's hope everybody has a good rest of your week. Finish us off here, Cody.
That's it. That's all I got. Hope everybody has a good rest of the week. Like I said, fuck the refs. You guys fucked us. But besides that, hey, it was a great week. And I'm looking forward to the next week after a Rams victory. So, hey, let's go Rams.
We out.